A lot of the time, you're not tired, you're just avoiding your life, And I know this probably sounds pretty harsh from the get go, but um, it's a reality that a lot of people are dealing with, whether they are conscious or knowing of it. This happens on a regular basis. You know, Obviously, tiredness is real, so I'm not disputing the fact that we get tired. Life is busy, bad sleep is real, stress is real, work is real, family, relationships, business, all these things are very much real and do tire you out. So I'm not discounting the fact that you may be tired. Life can absolutely destroy you. It can take the very essence of life out of you. But I think there is a genuine difference between actually needing rest or using tiredness as a way to avoid doing the things you know you need to do. This morning I woke up early. I couldn't really get back to sleep, probably didn't have enough sleep at all, and I felt tired. And straight away the little voice in the head says, well, maybe you could train later, maybe you can leave the first errand of the day to a little bit later, or even tomorrow, or even just cancel it altogether. Maybe just start properly next week. And this is where the real battle is, not under the bar, not in the gym, not when everyone is watching. The real battle is in the private moments where you start negotiating with yourself, because deep down, most people know what they need to do. They know they need to train, they know they need to clean up their diet, they know they need to go to work, they know they need to stop scrolling, they know they need to sort their money out, stop drinking, stop the bad habit. They know they need to stop wasting time procrastinating or spending time with people who are not good for them. They know, you know, I know. The problem isn't the knowledge, the problem is avoidance. Because ultimately, doing the thing, whatever it is, forces you to face the gap between who you are right now and the person you want to become. And this gap is uncomfortable. So we can call the gap tiredness. We can call it stress. We can call it not being in the mood today. We can call it needing a rest. We can call it starting on Monday, starting next week, starting next year. But a lot of the time what we really mean is I don't want to face myself today. So this morning I went to the gym, not because I felt amazing. I felt like a big pile of horse manure. Certainly wasn't full of motivation, and I certainly didn't have the perfect routine. I just knew that if I skipped it, I would be teaching myself something. I would be teaching myself that my promises are optional. I would be teaching myself that, tiredness gets the final say over my day. And that is a dangerous place for your own mind. Every time you break a promise to yourself, something changes. Maybe it's not a massive thing, and it's likely not a massive thing. Nobody else will notice, but you notice, and you know. And slowly, quietly, you start trusting yourself less. And, this is how a man ultimately, or a woman, or a human ultimately begins to lose respect for themselves. And it doesn't happen all at once, not in one dramatic collapse. It just chips away at you over time. And I've been there, through hundreds of tiny moments where, somebody or you or I say that we're going to do something and then we don't. So today I trained. I worked up to 170 kg bench for one rep, then did a couple of sets at 144 back off reps, some paused variation work in there too. And I know that to a lot of people who probably watch these videos, those sort of things don't really mean anything, which is absolutely fine. I don't expect them to. Because ultimately it's not the numbers that matter. The point is that I left the gym with the evidence that I can say what I do and do what I say and keep a promise to myself. After the gym, I went and did a small food shop. So before late mid-morning, I'd already accomplished two of the things that I wanted to do today. And the point is ultimately you accumulate the little bits of evidence that even when your mood is not perfect, when your mood is low, when you're feeling tired, you can still move forward. Evidence the day, doesn't have to be controlled about how you feel in the first hour of waking up, because you're always going to feel different a couple of hours after you've woken up than in the first 10 minutes of opening your, blistering eyes. And I think a lot of men are missing this, the evidence, essentially. Not another motivational video, it might get you hyped up for 5 minutes, not another quote, not even a perfect plan, just bits of evidence. Proof that you are still in control of yourself. Proof that you can do the hard things when you don't feel like it. Proof that you're becoming someone that you can respect. Because confidence, does not come from telling yourself you are confident. It may do for a blip, but it comes from keeping promises, essentially, to yourself. Same with self-respect. Self-respect doesn't come from just positive thinking or thinking, thoughts. It comes from keeping promises to yourself, especially when these promises are perhaps inconvenient, especially when you're tired, especially when nobody is watching. Now, there is a balance to all of this. Sometimes, as I said at the beginning of the video, tiredness is actually a real thing, which I totally understand. I get tired, and rest is real, and you need rest. You need to rest, repair, recover, adapt, overcome, and then get back on the horse, as some may say. Sometimes the best thing to do is rest. Sometimes the best thing to do is recover. Sometimes pushing harder is not discipline, it's just stupidity. There's a difference between discipline and punishment. But you have to be honest with yourself, because I think by and large most of us know the difference when we genuinely need rest to when we're just hiding behind the rest, behind the tiredness. So I would say, overall, if you're feeling a bit off today, a bit messy, a bit tired, a bit flat, imperfect, don't write your whole day off. Don't just laze about in bed all day. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for Monday. Don't wait for the perfect mood. Don't wait till life feels easier, because sometimes, that time never comes. Just do the one thing today that proves you're not avoiding your life. So go train, go for a walk, clean your room, make the phone call, have the conversation, eat one proper meal, do the work, record a video, start a drawing, start the first chapter of that book. Whatever it is, just do the one thing that's going to give you that evidence, because ultimately you're not going to rebuild your life waiting until you feel ready. You rebuild your life by showing up while part of you still wants to run away. And the more you do that, the more you start trusting yourself again. And this is ultimately where confidence and self-respect are born and developed. Not from comfort, not from motivation. Proof you are still in the fight.